Message in a Bottle, Investigating Bioart Installations as a Transdisciplinary Means of Community Engagement. My name is Lydia Stamato, and I am presenting our paper on behalf of my co-authors, Hasan Mahmud Prottoy, Erin Higgins, Lisa Z. Scheifele, and Foad Hamidi. Dialogue between art and human-computer interaction can further understanding of the impact of research and design decisions and nurture inspiration. Bioart is an example of transdisciplinary inquiry that explores the ethics of science, technology, and interaction. Our research reinforces that bioartwork has implications for bio-HCI and living media interface systems, as well as other modes of interaction and experience. Also involved in constructing these boundaries, HCI scholars working with biological and living media have called for more research regarding the ethics involved in instrumentalizing living organisms, as well as other questions. Bioart is equipped for this task. Fields such as HCI can respond to knowledge generated through engagement with bioart in a variety of ways. Our present study serves as one example. To explore the potential for bioart to engage communities, we exhibited a multimedia bioart installation created by Foad Hamidi and a team of artist and scientist collaborators. A Farsi word meaning secret or mystery, Raaz creates a poetic, meditative space with transmedia embodied representations of a canonical poem by the 14th century Persian Sufi poet Hafiz of Shiraz. At the center of the installation is a poetry-infused bottle of transgenic wine surrounded by large print microscopic images of genetically modified yeast used to make the wine and whose genome includes an encoding of the poem. Raaz extends canonical bioartwork by engaging information theory and the cultural significance of wine and fermentation in the Sufi tradition as a metaphor for dangerous yet necessary spiritual transformation. By turning the metaphor of wine into material reality, Raaz's engagement with the process of winemaking parallels the ethically ambiguous practice of genetically modifying living organisms. An audio track that combines Foad's reading of the poem, its Morse code representation, and a bass flute melody surrounds the installation.
هرگز نمیرد آنکه دلش زنده شد به عشق. ثبت است بر جریده عالم دوام ما.
One whose heart is enlivened by love never dies. Our continuity is written on the face of time.
هرگز نمیرد آنکه دلش زنده شد به عشق. ثبت است بر جریده عالم دوام ما.
Each event was preceded by an approximately 45-minute talk by the artists, and handouts and a poster with scientific and literary background were available. Audience members were informed of the research activities at the beginning of the talk. Altogether, we generated data from 26 participants at 3 event sites. We used brief interviews, written questionnaires, and observation to learn about participants' experiences. Events were held at the Baltimore Underground Science Space, a community lab where participants also had the opportunity to create agar art, the Livewire Music Festival at UMBC, and the Interactive Systems Research Center User Studies Lab, also at UMBC. Through inductive thematic analysis, we constructed themes informed by diverse participants and contexts, while the artwork stayed more or less consistent. Please see our paper for details about our participants as well as our data generation and analysis protocols. Everyone we spoke with spontaneously described at least one thing that interested them about the work, and many participants showed or recounted intense and emotional responses. We will now describe 5 experiential modalities through which bioart installation may work as a transdisciplinary means of community engagement: vital authenticity, performative reflection, empowered critique, distributed expertise, and revealed dynamics. Participants connected the vitality of Raaz and of the pigmented bacteria and yeast used at the community lab with experiences of vitality in everyday life. For example, a participant at the community lab said, "I just like the idea of making the poem alive and bringing back that history that could feel really distant into something living and here and material." Further, participants' experience of the vitality of bioart as a medium appears to support reflection on the vitality of the makers involved, often described as interest in authenticity as a connection between the two. As a music festival participant said, "I rarely see people show this picture, this cell being illuminated, and it's so beautiful, and it's authentic, and it was making the yeast from poem, and it's just very mind-blowing." Raaz highlights the power of time through both form and content, that is, through the technology of gene editing and the content of the chosen poem. The synergy of form and content afforded by bioart can be described as performative. It does or is its own meaning. For example, performative reflection engaged participant perceptions of personal and collective identities, and how identity may catalyze reflection on personal and social relationships with emerging technology, both in the past and the present and future. A participant at the User Studies Lab described DNA embodying connections between past and present lived experience. Different issues with genetic disorders can lead to certain disabilities, which can lead to taking on the identity of being a disabled person. So it can have both a historical impact and just like, here's what has happened in my family. And you also get into the concept of generational trauma and whether that impacts DNA. Raaz events cultivated an inclusive and socially oriented space for critique of science and technology. Empowered critique describes ways in which audiences engage with issues and questions encountered from their perspective. For example, when asked about the relationship between DNA and identity, a music festival participant emphasized, "That has a lot of implications, you know," engaging critically with the researchers. Another participant, while making agar art in the community lab, highlighted how bioart could stabilize hegemonic paradigms. "My vision as a marketer would be, as the moon landing is to space exploration, so bioart could be to actual scientific progress. If this is the sort of thing that gets people interested, that gets funding, then that could be something big companies find really useful." Empowered critique includes critique of accessibility, in particular regarding the organization of artifacts in space and the details of the artifacts. For example, a participant at the music festival said, "There's something on the back of the wine bottle that I couldn't even read. I didn't want to knock anything over." Raaz supports a distribution of expertise, across which people with diverse backgrounds may find ways to engage and contribute. Thus, Raaz may support individuals and communities in staying with uncertainty and facing difficulties by connecting with their areas of familiarity and competence, while trusting others will do the same where they themselves may be lacking. Describing why they chose to try agar art, one participant described enjoyment related to the combined hands-on experience and space to try and fail, saying, "I'm not particularly good at it. I just love it. I love doing things. I love manipulating materials. It felt sensory. I like the idea of dealing with something sticky." On the other hand, a music festival participant reflected on what interested them about the biological aspects of the work. "I've done bio before, so it was interesting to see imaging that wasn't like the traditional, not boring, but information about host locations and communities that may not ordinarily be directly encountered, comprises revealed dynamics that have social and technical implications." For example, with few exceptions, people did not use mobile devices or laptop computers during the talk. On only one occasion did we observe someone use their phone to photograph the artwork. Also, event sites reflect differences in intergenerational engagement, with adolescents involved in agar art at the community lab and attending the music festival together with their parents, but not present at the User Studies Lab event. At the User Studies Lab, the illuminated smart screen became a focal point of the installation, whereas at other sites, audiences were more likely to orient around the wine bottle. Audience members not familiar with the user studies lab were unsure whether technology belonging to the lab, such as the motion capture system or the treadmill, were part of the artwork, and this didn't come up at other sites. Now we discuss the role and potential of liminality, a transformational and transitory state that occurs in the space between two stable states as a place where transdisciplinary community engagement can support participation. A frequent theme in art, we discuss how engaging with liminality can connect HCI and knowledge generated through bioart and enable critical and inclusive research and design practices. We observed that Raaz events attracted people who knew little to nothing about bioart in advance. Echoing the theme of performative reflection and the situation of bioart as a form of making, we observe bioart's potential for making community and enabling new relationship formation within a liminal space. As one participant put it, events such as these provide the opportunity for people to at least learn how to make friends. Identifying issues of shared concern is a challenging task for community engagement. As performativity is a key aspect of bioart, insofar as the living media itself often is the message, the Raaz events were performative in that audiences became directly involved in reflection and questioning related to the issues that Raaz elevates. This could potentially prepare audience members for future individual and collective reflection as public issues are identified through processes of making community and identification of revealed dynamics. Our study demonstrates how groups of people who have or who could have something in common experience bioart as a liminal space through exposure to new knowledge, new ways of knowing, and vital sensory experience. We posit that Raaz acts as a liminal space where habitual ways of being are suspended. After the event, the context comes back together, but not in the same way it was before. There are new and different relationships, new and different possibilities. Involving the living world in design and art research has the potential to engage a range of individuals and communities and can engage amateur perspectives with the support of practices such as DIY bio and community labs. We envision transdisciplinary art and community-based gatherings with possibilities for making community and revealing concerns in tandem with other HCI research, endeavoring to motivate and facilitate not only public understanding and discussion of the role of technology in society, but also to empower critique and participation within liminal spaces inherent in transdisciplinary making. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to engaging with you.